everyone. My name is Taylor McMillan. Nice to see you guys again. Okay, so from this week, I took a lot of different things from the learning this week, and I'm sorry if my computer cuts out at my parents' house and the internet keeps going out. Anyways, so this week we read, or this past couple weeks, we read chapters 4 through 7 in the Family Life Education book. And we talked a lot about the audience and the component display theory and how to really relate the audience and work with different audiences. We also learned about how to use proper teaching skills and tools within our family life education programs. Okay, to start off, I want to talk about the component display theory. And in that theory, David Merrill created that theory in 1983. It is a theory about how the more you understand something, the better the performance or the outcome of what people will take out of it. So that's a major thing that a lot of people don't understand about the Family Life Education program, is that it's not, you can't just teach it through experience. You have to teach it as an educator. You need to have the core principles and to back up your learnings and your teachings to help people actually relate and learn from you. A really important thing in the component display theory is the expository generality. It's a common way to begin that you would, it's hard to explain, but it basically is giving a general example of a situation. So giving stories that people can relate to and listen to. As we continue to go into this, I went more in depth in those stories, and it made me think of later on in our leading, we read about in the teaching the gospel about likening the scriptures unto us. And so I thought a lot about how in our lives, when we're studying the scriptures, we need to find stories. And it's important when we're teaching those stories to broaden the perspective and what we're trying to show, because not every single person will take the same thing out of what we're teaching. And that's how it's supposed to be. That's how anything when it comes to classes or religion, that's the importance of it, and how special it is because of the fact that everyone takes something different from it. Anyways, back to the component display theory. The importance is to find the instructional balance. You need to have the knowledge and the skills. You want to teach people what it's about, but if they have that issue, skills like role play, we need to use those different ways to include the audience. We need to use people to get together and to learn together through role playing and sharing each other's experiences. That brings me to another thought I just thought of in our teaching the gospel, I believe this week. No, it wasn't. It was in the chapter 6 when it talks about the buzz groups. And we needed a really positive way to teach is through breaking up into smaller groups. And you talk about pertinent topics. I was thinking about that a little bit, and I thought, well, that's actually a really good idea because so many people don't want to learn about the same thing. In a family life education, I'm sure there's people who want to learn about how to get along with their spouse during death, or how to handle a teenager, or how to communicate with your spouse on your own. And getting into those groups that want those same topics, I feel like will definitely help actually improve your teaching experience so that people will feel more inclined, because they're becoming more comfortable with the situation, to participate and discuss and to share their personal feelings. So they gave a lot of different tools and tips, and they showed share movies, clips, role playing, and really encourage family council within their homes. And they said that's extremely important. Okay, as we went on, we talked about diverse audiences, and so the main thing I got about that in chapter 7 was learning about the actual values in different cultures. So before you go into a class, I find that it's very important to understand the communication standards and what they believe is a normal time period. So I know that in the American culture, we are always rushed, but I know my grandparents just got home from a mission in Cambodia, and they said that, oh, they have the whole day planned out if you come over. And it's just, there's no time limit. So really understanding what the cultures are, learning how their work ethic is, and the individual's work. If you know yourself and the audience, you'll know your limits, and you'll be able to be flexible in these situations. Okay, and so as we went in, we touched on a few parts of the teaching the gospel reading for the past couple weeks. But a couple things that I found that were really helpful was learning about the differences in how the Holy Ghost teaches us and how we learn to be taught by the Holy Ghost. I thought that was very interesting. Another thing that I thought was extremely important to the FLE programs would be the preparing that we need to take place. We need to pray beforehand. Since we are LDS, it is important to have the Spirit with us so that these situations could be stressful for people, because people can take offense, because you could be talking about something, and even though you're not directing anything at anyone, because this is not counseling, this is just a program, a workshop, people can take offense because they feel like they're not doing something wrong, but you're telling them they are, sort of, even though you had no idea their situation. Another thing, there were a lot of different really good points on how we understand and prepare and study. And it talked a lot about the scriptures and using true stories and understanding different stories and liking them to us and marking our scriptures and looking at the whole perspective, like we talked about earlier. The last thing that I found, the very most important out of all the reading this week, was we need to ask good questions, and questions that make us reflect on who we are and who we want to become, and how those questions can help other people reflect on those questions. So we ask why and how and what, not yes or no questions, and that will really engage the class to actually participate and answer and ask their questions. Well, that's what I learned this week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'm excited to hear about your readings. Thanks, everyone.